When a lot of people talk to me about heavy duty, I just think, like, really? I did that on the show? I actually slipped in vomit. I got chased around with a golf club. I actually put that on YouTube. Okay, great. I met Joe Bettino in high school, and he was really into film, and so was I. And for a while, he and I would just always talk about movies, what TV shows we thought were funny, which ones we didn't think were funny, the Nostalgia Critic, what he was going to review next. That was a big thing we would always talk about every week. But what really got me interested in this whole thing with film was he was telling me about Summer Stage, which was a film program where you go in to this film camp and you make your own 5-minute short film, and then we have our parents come in, we have a huge audience, and we treat it like it's a big, almost like it's the Academy Awards, because we show the films, you get awards for it, and it was a pretty big deal there. And in the summer of '09, I joined, and I met Nick Selko at that place. And I remember it was at that point, and I'm pretty sure it was right around the summertime, when I started to come up with the idea for a show, but a show that could be developed for YouTube.
Okay. How much is he paying you? About how much?
I don't know, like 30 extra bucks?
30 extra bucks? 10, 20...
I know where this is going. No.
Hey!
But I didn't want to have, characters that you couldn't really buy into. You know what I mean? So I said, the only way this sitcom could work is we basically have to play ourselves, because that way everyone will feel comfortable, they can adjust to their own characters. I wouldn't have to write out these characters because we weren't dealing with real actors, because in the beginning it was just me, Joe, and Nick, and my cousin Elena. And Elena couldn't act because she was only 5 at the time. And Joe and I aren't really actors, we're more like, we're into film. Selko, I can't speak for him. Well, I can't speak for Joe either, but I can't really speak for Selko. I don't know if he, directing, acting, because he's done a few movies here and there. But one thing we knew was we would have to play ourselves in order to get the show down, in order to develop a way for our characters, to basically go through the series and make the audience believe that what you saw wasn't scripted. I basically wanted the show to be like real situations happening, and there were hidden cameras, and we didn't know there were cameras in the room. That's what we did. And if you watch the first season, basically, that's basically what we did for like the first 4 or 5 episodes. And that's why most of the characters in the show are known as their real name. Dan?
Hey, Andrew.
Oh, hey, Nick. Joe, you're not going to believe what just happened.
What happened?
I went up to Joe with this idea very close to the end of the summer in 2009. I told him the idea. I said, I have this new idea for a sitcom. It's about a kid. He has to do chores for his next door neighbor. He has 2 friends. One of them is his best friend. The other one is a stalker. What do you think? And he said, well, who am I playing? And I said, the best friend. And he goes, okay. So who are we going to get to be the stalker?
May I interrupt for a second?
This time I will let you interrupt, Nick.
If I was Mindy, I would go to the prom with you.
We filmed the first 4 episodes from season 1 in one night. And in one night, the only thing we filmed from those 4 episodes were the scenes where I'm talking to Joe and Nick in the bedroom. That was filmed all in one night. So every time you see Joe and Nick in the first season, that all was filmed in one night. So they left that night. They were going to come back in about a month or 2. And, a lot of problems happened in between. Their schedules got out of control. We had a lot of problems. And eventually the show was shelved. So it never went on TV. Or it never went on the internet. My mistake. A couple of years go by. It's 2011. I finally have an iMac I have an HD camera. I have all this updated equipment. I pulled the tape out of the vault. And this was right after the comedy hour was going on Facebook. And I took a look at it, and I forgot about the show, and I looked at the bloopers. And I said, you know what, these bloopers are just so funny. Let me just take these 4 episodes, film the scenes around them, because I kept all the original scripts, and I'll somehow put them together. I'll put these 4 episodes up week after week, and I'll see what happens to the show. Just see what happens. And that's exactly what I did. The pilot airs June 11th, and I filmed all day on June 10th. I filmed every scene, all the scenes around with me, because when I took the tape out, I looked at the tape and I said, you know what? Even though this was filmed 1.5 years ago, we still look young enough to do it. Our voices haven't changed that much. It's been only 1.5 years, so it's not that bad. We could shoot the scenes that haven't been shot yet, put it together, and we could probably release it. I mean, it was only 4 episodes at the time, so it wasn't that bad. Well, the pilot airs, and I have a graduation party that day. And Dan Edgar and Mike Franz were there.
Well, I was on Facebook one day in about May or June, and I saw that the pilot for Heavy Duty was uploaded. And, you know, it was really interesting. I really liked the pilot. And so I thought, you know, it would be awesome to do a show like this.
Andrew just came to me and asked me if I was interested in doing something over the summer. I said, well, I mean, like, I was involved in, like, a couple other things, but I said, yeah, when I have the time, I'd love to do something.
And he asked me, would you like a part in the show? And I said, yes, of course. It was such a good opportunity. I'm really glad I got to do it.
When I first saw the pilot, I actually thought it was pretty funny. And then as the shows went on, the plot developed a little bit more, and the show actually became interesting, and even to the point where I showed a few people who are now into it.
I asked Dan Edgar to do the show because Joe and Nick were having problems with their schedule, so they couldn't come back for the series. So once the 4th episode aired, I didn't know what was going to happen to the show because Joe and Nick couldn't find a way to come over so we could finish up the season. At least, if they weren't going to come back for another year, we could at least write them out of the show.
They were, like, they really, like, set everything up. They set, like, everything that's going to happen now, and they were pretty funny. And Nick's character, like, all the stuff he did, and just his random obsession with Joe and always following him, that was pretty funny. Originally,
Mr. Drakers is supposed to be a 65 to 70-year-old man, lonely. He's basically a guy that's got a lot of stories about World War II, very grandfather-like to his family, not to Andrew and his friends. And I thought that's going to be really hard to catch because I didn't know anyone like that, and I thought my dad might be able to do it. But there was a big problem with that. He didn't want to have his face shown, and he didn't want his voice to be heard.
You move to the other way? Can you move it so that people can see the phone? Thank you, that's perfect.
Why don't we just do what they did on Seinfeld? We'll Steinbrenner you. We'll just have your back shown, and we'll have someone else saying the lines for you. The problem was who was going to do the voice of Mr. Drakers.
I got to do a lot of different, like, lines and even added my own few stuff in there.
Want me to do that one over? Or?
Yeah. Do the last 2 lines over again.
Okay. You are in so much trouble. I've been paying you?
The only time he didn't do the voice of Mr. Drakers was in the pilot episode because I did the pilot episode in one night.
The police and my lawyers have decided that that's what you should do. You're lucky I'm not suing you. You start first thing tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
My favorite scene was when Macy got hit by a car. It was very easy filming, and I liked it.
I've never been a part of a YouTube sitcom before. I mean, I've been a part of experiences filming on camera. Like, I'm usually a stage actor. I'm not really a camera actor, but, you know, I've done, Horsehead Productions, The Mercenary, Carnies, and now The History Project, but I've never done something like this before, and it was a really interesting experience. You know, we came on for about 2 or 3 days of shooting over the summer, and those days were they were pretty hectic.
But a lot of crazy stuff happened throughout the years, and especially once we got into the second year, it just got a lot worse.